Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
The collapse came without warning. One moment Elias Ward was descending the rusted ladder into Survey Shaft 7 Delta, clipboard wedged under his arm, headlamp cutting a weak cone through the darkness. The next, the earth opened beneath him like a mouth. Stone screamed, metal shrieked. The ladder tore free from the wall and he fell 20 meters through choking dust and spinning debris, his body slamming through rotted support beams before the ground rose up to meet him with a sound like a gunshot. The slab caught him across the chest. Elias felt his ribs cave inward, felt something vital puncture deep inside. His legs folded at impossible angles beneath the weight. He tried to scream, but his lungs wouldn't fill. Blood pooled hot in his mouth. Darkness pressed down from all sides. The dust settled. Silence followed, thick and absolute. He was going to die here, alone, crushed, forgotten at the bottom of an abandoned mining shaft on a colony world whose name he could barely remember. His vision dimmed, his thoughts scattered like birds, and then a voice, female, close, not quite human in its cadence. "Don't die." The words brushed against his consciousness like fingertips against glass. "I'm here. I won't lose you again." Again? Elias tried to focus, tried to turn his head, but his body wouldn't obey. The weight on his chest was enormous. Every shallow breath brought fresh agony. Who was speaking? Where were they? The voice came again, closer now, intimate. "Hold on. Just hold on." Something shifted inside him. Not the stone, something deeper. A warmth spreading from his core outward, reaching into his shattered ribs, his crushed spine, his useless legs. It felt like hands, like someone was touching him from the inside. His eyes closed. The darkness took him. When consciousness returned, it came in fragments. Bright lights, sterile air, the hum of machines. Elias couldn't move, couldn't speak. His body felt distant, disconnected, like he was floating several inches above it. Voices surrounded him, sharp, urgent, speaking in a language that skittered at the edges of comprehension. The words were alien, but the tone was universal. Panic. Someone was examining him. He felt hands, real hands this time, pressing against his chest, his neck, his skull. Clinical. Efficient. Then they stopped. A sharp intake of breath. A female voice trembling. "No, that's not possible." Elias tried to open his eyes, but his eyelids wouldn't respond. He was trapped inside his own body, a passenger in a vehicle with no controls. The hands returned to his chest, more hesitant now, and then he felt it again. Movement, not external, internal, something beneath his skin, shifting, adjusting. His ribs, broken, shattered moments ago, began to move. Not from the medic's touch, but from within, as if invisible fingers were reaching up through muscle and tissue to grip each fractured bone and guide it back into place. Wet clicks echoed through his chest cavity, grinding, settling. The sound of bone against bone. The medic's hands jerked away. "Gods preserve!" Footsteps scrambled backward. Equipment clattered to the floor. He's not... The voice broke into stammering fragments of a language Elias didn't know, but the fear was unmistakable. More movement inside him, his spine straightening, vertebrae snapping into alignment with methodical precision. His legs, crushed beyond repair, began to reform, the bones grinding and resetting with the patience of a craftsman reassembling a broken sculpture. It didn't hurt. It should have hurt, but all Elias felt was warmth and the sensation of being held. "I remember every time you died." When Elias finally opened his eyes, the room was dark. Night had fallen, or whatever passed for night on this world. The medical equipment hummed softly around him, screens displaying readouts he couldn't interpret. His body felt different, solid, whole. He lifted his hand experimentally, watching his fingers flex in the dim light. No pain. His ribs, shattered beyond recognition, now moved smoothly beneath his skin as he breathed. His legs responded when he tried to shift them, muscles contracting without the screaming agony he'd expected. He was healed. Completely. That wasn't possible. The fall should have killed him. At minimum, he should have been paralyzed. His body a broken shell requiring months of reconstructive surgery and rehabilitation. Instead, he felt better than he had in years. Elias pushed himself upright, swinging his legs over the edge of the medical bed. The floor was cold beneath his bare feet. He stood carefully, testing his weight, waiting for something to give way. Nothing did. He was fine. Better than fine. And then he felt it. A warmth over his heart, spreading outward like a hand pressed flat against his chest. Elias looked down. No hand. No mark. Just his own skin, pale and unmarked in the dim light. But the sensation remained. The weight. The pressure. Like someone was standing directly in front of him, palm resting over his sternum. "You're awake." The voice. Elias froze. It hadn't come from the room. It had come from inside him, resonating through his chest cavity like sound traveling through water. "Don't be afraid. I'll help you stand like before." "Who?" His voice cracked, unused. He swallowed and tried again. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, "You don't remember." The warmth intensified, and with it came a wave of emotion that wasn't his own. Sadness, longing, something that felt almost like grief. Elias stumbled backward, his shoulders hitting the wall. His heart hammered against his ribs. "What the fuck is happening? I'm sorry, I should have waited. But you were dying, and I couldn't lose you again." "Again?" His hands were shaking. "I don't know you. I don't." "Your body does." The words hung in the darkness. Elias pressed his palms flat against the wall, trying to anchor himself. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. He was hallucinating. Brain damage from the fall. Oxygen deprivation. Something. But the warmth remained. The presence. The undeniable sensation of someone else sharing the space inside his skin. He was about to speak again when the door hissed open. The medic stood in the doorway, backlit by the harsh corridor lights. She was tall, taller than any human, with skin the color of pale sapphires and eyes that reflected the light like mirrors. Intricate markings covered her arms and throat. Raised scars formed into deliberate patterns. She held a dim lamp in one hand. In the other, a scanner of some kind. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Then she stepped inside and let the door seal behind her. "You shouldn't be standing." Her voice was low, controlled, but Elias heard the tremor beneath it. She spoke his language with only a slight accent, each word carefully measured. "I feel fine." "You shouldn't." She moved closer, lamp raised, eyes scanning his body with clinical intensity. "Your injuries were catastrophic, unsurvivable." "Well, I survived. That's what concerns me." She gestured toward the medical bed. Elias hesitated, then sat. The medic Narration, according to the name etched into the silver band around her wrist, set down the lamp and activated her scanner, passing it slowly over his chest. The device chimed, beeped, fell silent. Naration's expression didn't change, but her hand tightened around the scanner until Elias heard the casing creak. "Explain this." She turned the screen toward him. Elias looked. The image showed his skeletal structure in translucent blue, every bone perfectly aligned, every joint flawlessly positioned. But there was something else, faint lines of light tracing through the marrow, patterns that looked almost like script. "I can't." "No." Narishin's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "You can't, because these aren't human bones anymore." Elias's stomach dropped. "What?" She moved the scanner to his ribs, highlighting one section. "This configuration, this positioning, it's Ashtal, ancient warrior caste." Her voice was shaking now, each word coming faster. "But they're gone. All of them. Eradicated 12 years ago." "Not all." The voice inside Elias spoke suddenly, clearly, and this time when it did, Narishin's eyes widened. She'd heard it too. The scanner slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. "No." She stepped backward, one hand rising to cover her mouth. "No, that's... you're... Narishin." The voice was gentle now, sorrowful. "It's been a long time." The medic's legs gave out. She caught herself against the wall, sliding down until she sat with her knees drawn up, staring at Elias with an expression caught between horror and wonder. "Sahrian?" The name came out broken. "Is that you?" "Yes." Elias felt the warmth in his chest intensify, felt something shift inside him. Not painful, but strange, as if his internal organs were rearranging themselves to make room for something else. "Who's Sahrian?" he demanded, looking between Arishan's stricken face and his own reflection in the dark window. What the fuck is inside me? Arishan's voice was hollow. Soul bonding, the forbidden ritual. When two warriors are dying, one can preserve themselves inside the other. He was supposed to survive. Sarian's voice carried weight now, filling the room. I made sure of it. You died, Arishan whispered. 12 years ago. The raiders, they killed everyone. You found what they left behind. But I didn't die alone. Elias's head was spinning. Memories flickered at the edges of his mind. Not his own, but close. Like watching someone else's dream. I don't understand. I would remember. Human memory can't hold what happened to you, Arishan said quietly. Your consciousness suppressed the trauma. You've been carrying her for 12 years without knowing. Until now. Until now, Arishan repeated. The fall should have killed you. Instead, it triggered her fully. She had to act, had to save you. And now what? The medic's eyes glistened. Now she's awake, and she won't go back to sleep. The silence that followed was suffocating. Elias sat on the edge of the medical bed, hands gripping the thin mattress, trying to process what he'd just heard. Inside him, Sarian's presence had gone quiet, but he could still feel her, a weight behind his sternum, patient and watchful. Arishan hadn't moved from her position against the wall. She was staring at him, or through him, her expression unreadable. Finally, Elias spoke. Tell me what happened. 12 years ago. Tell me everything. Arishan closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had hardened in her expression. You won't want to hear it. I need to. A long pause, then. There was a settlement. You were working security. Sarian was clan huntress. Raiders hit at dawn. You stayed with her. Everyone else ran. You stayed. He defended the children's shelter. Sarian's voice was soft now, distant. They would have taken them first. You held the line together, Arishan continued, for 3 hours. But there were too many. Eventually, I died. You both did. Multiple gunshot wounds. Plasma burns. You bled out in her arms. Arishan's hands were trembling. She was stronger, lasted longer. And in those final moments, she performed the bonding ritual. Used the last of her life force to restart your heart? Elias felt cold. Why? Because I loved you. The words hit like a physical blow. Arishan must have felt it too because she flinched. Soul bonding requires absolute trust. Absolute love, Elias finished quietly. Yes. He looked down at his hands. They looked the same, felt the same. But beneath the skin, beneath the flesh, his bones had been rewritten by someone else. Someone who died to save him. Someone he couldn't even remember. Why don't I remember her? Human brains reject the intrusion. Your consciousness built walls around her presence to protect itself. You survived, but she was locked away. Dormant. Until the fall. Until the fall, she confirmed. And now you know. Sarian's voice was closer now, intimate. Elias felt that phantom hand against his chest again, warm and solid. What does she want? He asked, not sure if he was speaking to Arishan or to the presence inside him. To protect you, to finish what we started, to be with you, as I was meant to be? Arishan stood abruptly. No, absolutely not. Sarian, you can't. I can. I will. She doesn't understand what's happened since, Arishan said, her voice rising. The people who killed them are still hunting for survivors. Why? Because your kind is valuable, Arishan said bitterly. Soul-bonded warriors are legends. There are collectors who would pay fortunes for a preserved Ashtal consciousness. She crossed the room and gripped Elias's shoulders. You need to understand, if anyone discovers what you're carrying, you're both dead. Then what do I do? Suppress her? Lock her back down? No. The word came from Elias's mouth, but it wasn't his voice. Deeper, older, layered with harmonics that made Arishan step back. When he spoke again, it was his own voice, but shaking. What just did she? I'm sorry, but I can't go back. I won't. You don't have a choice, Arishan said. This is his body, his life. You're the ghost. Silence fell, tense and fragile. Then Elias felt something new, a pulling sensation deep in his core. His vision doubled for a moment, overlaying his view of the room with something else. A memory, vivid and sharp. Red dust, smoke, the weight of a child in his arms, screaming, and a woman beside him, tall, blue-skinned, marked with warrior scars, her weapon raised, her eyes blazing with defiance. Saharian. She looked at him and smiled, blood streaking her teeth. "We return together," she said. "Promise me." And he'd promised. The memory faded. Elias gasped, his hands gripping the edge of the bed so hard his knuckles went white. I remember making her a promise." Arishen's expression softened. "Elias, I told her we'd survive together. That's what she's holding on to, isn't it? That promise." "Yes." The phantom hand pressed harder against his chest, insistent. "You're mine. I'm yours. That's what soul bonding means. Forever." "Forever's a long time," Elias said quietly, "for a ghost and a man who didn't ask for this." Arishen moved to speak, but before she could, the lights in the medical bay flickered. Once, twice. Red emergency lighting flooded the room, and somewhere in the distance an alarm began to wail. Arishen's head snapped toward the door. "No, not now. Not already." "What's happening?" She was already moving, grabbing equipment from the wall-mounted cabinets with practiced efficiency. "Security breach. They found us." Sarian's voice carried absolute certainty. "Found who?" Elias demanded. "The hunters. The ones who eradicated my clan. They're still looking for survivors." Arishen's face had gone pale. "If they tracked you here, how?" "Soul-bonded individuals emit a unique energy pattern. Specialized equipment can detect it across star systems." She moved to the door. "We need to move, now." The door hissed open. The corridor beyond was bathed in red emergency light, casting long shadows across the walls. Arishen moved quickly, gesturing for Elias to follow. The alarm continued to wail. Elias's body felt strange, stronger than it should, more responsive. When he moved, his muscles responded with precision he'd never possessed before. "I'm helping," Saharian murmured. "Guiding your movements. Don't fight it." He didn't have time to argue. They reached an intersection. Arishen paused, checking her scanner. 3 signatures, moving through the east wing, heading toward... She went very still. "Toward what?" "Toward my office, where I kept your medical records." Elias felt ice slide down his spine. "They're looking for information about me." "About her." Arishen turned to face him. "If they access those files, they'll know exactly what you are." A distant crash echoed through the corridor. Arishen grabbed Elias's arm. "This way. There's an emergency exit through the storage level." They ran. They reached a stairwell, started down. And that's when Elias heard it. Footsteps, below them, coming up. Arishen heard it too. She froze, one hand raised in warning. They pressed themselves against the wall listening. The footsteps were deliberate, unhurried, confident. A voice echoed up the stairwell, male speaking in clipped, efficient tones. "Biosignature confirmed. 3rd level, medical wing. Subject is mobile." Another voice responded, tinny through a comm device. "Trank rounds only. We need the host alive." Elias's blood ran cold. Arishen pulled him back from the stairwell, toward a maintenance door marked with yellow hazard stripes. She pried it open manually. Inside was darkness and the smell of machinery. "In, now." They slipped through and Arishen sealed the door behind them, engaging the manual lock. The space beyond was cramped, filled with pipes and conduits. "What now?" Elias whispered. "Now we..." The maintenance door shuddered. Someone was trying to force it open from the other side. "Let me help." "No," Elias hissed. "Not yet. They'll kill you if you wait. They'll capture me if I let you take control." The door shuddered again. Metal groaned. They were using cutting equipment now, the smell of superheated metal filling the air. Arishen was frantically working her scanner. "There's a ventilation shaft, 50 meters ahead. If we can reach it before they breach..." The door exploded inward, not slowly, not carefully. The entire frame tore free in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. 3 figures stood silhouetted in the doorway, armored, armed, moving with military precision. The lead figure, broad-shouldered, wearing a helmet that obscured his face, raised a weapon. Elias Ward, stay where you are. This doesn't have to be difficult. Elias looked at Arishan. She was already moving, pulling him deeper into the maintenance corridor. Run! They ran. The weapon discharged. A soft, pneumatic hiss. A tranquilizer dart buried itself in the wall, inches from Elias's head. More hisses. More darts. Arishan grabbed a pipe from the wall and hurled it back toward their pursuers. They rounded a corner, ducked under a low-hanging conduit, squeezed through a gap between two massive pieces of machinery. The ventilation shaft was ahead, a grated opening set into the wall. Arishan reached it first, wrenching the grate free. Go! Elias hesitated. What about... I'll hold them here. Go. She's lying. She intends to sacrifice herself. No, Elias said firmly. Both of us or neither. The armored figures were closing in. Arishan's eyes glistened. You fool. You don't understand what you're carrying. Let me. The words came with a surge of warmth, and this time Elias didn't fight it. He felt Sarian rise inside him like a wave, felt his body shift, not visibly, but internally. His stance widened. His weight distributed differently. His hands lifted into a guard position he'd never learned. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics. Run, Ari! Get somewhere safe! Saharian, don't... Run! The first hunter rounded the corner, and Elias... No, Sarian moved. His body moved like water. The first hunter raised his weapon, but Elias was already inside his guard, one hand deflecting the barrel, while the other struck where the helmet met the armor collar. The hunter staggered. Elias used his momentum against him, sending him crashing into the machinery. The second hunter fired. Elias twisted, the dart passing close enough that he felt the displacement of air. His hand shot out and caught the hunter's wrist, hyperextending it until the weapon clattered free. A sweep, a throw. The hunter hit the ground hard. The third hunter hung back, weapon raised, speaking urgently into his comm. Target is combat trained. Ashital martial discipline confirmed. Requesting backup. Elias felt Saharian's presence surge, felt her push toward taking full control, and he slammed down internal walls he didn't know he had. No, my body, my rules. They'll kill us both if you hesitate. Then guide me. Don't control me. A moment of tension. Then, together then. The warmth in his chest spread outward, but this time it felt different, collaborative rather than dominating. He felt Sarian's knowledge flowing into his muscles, her combat experience layering over his own instincts. But his will remained his own. He moved. The third hunter fired 3 times. Elias dodged 2 darts, caught the third midair with his bare hand, and threw it back. It buried itself in the hunter's shoulder. The man grunted, stumbled, went down to one knee as the sedative took effect. Elias stood in the maintenance corridor, breathing hard, surrounded by 3 incapacitated hunters. Arishan stared at him with an expression caught between awe and terror. Saharian, she whispered. No. Elias's voice was his own now, though it shook slightly. Both of us. Together. Well fought. The praise came with a pulse of warmth that Elias couldn't quite interpret. Pride? Affection? Something deeper that human language didn't have words for. He moved toward the fallen hunters, checking them quickly. All 3 were breathing, unconscious or sedated, but alive. We need to move, Arishan said, already heading toward the ventilation shaft. If they sent 3, there will be more. Elias followed. They climbed into the ventilation shaft, the metal tunnel barely wide enough to crawl through. Arishan led the way, her scanner casting a faint blue glow in the darkness. How many more? Elias asked. Unknown. These hunters work in cells. Could be 6. Could be 60. They hunt in packs of 12, Saharian said. 3 assault teams. 2 support, 1 command. 12, Elias repeated aloud. Arishan glanced back. She remembers. She was there when they slaughtered her clan. A grim silence fell. They crawled through the tunnel until it opened into a vertical shaft with service ladders. Arishan checked her scanner. Down. There's a cargo bay on the ground level. If we can reach one of the transport vehicles... Wait. Elias grabbed her arm. Why are they even here? Why are they still hunting? Arishan's expression darkened. Because the war never ended. There are still Ashtal survivors scattered across the outer colonies. The hunters find them one by one, eliminate them, or worse, Capture them and sell them to collectors. Collectors? Soul-bonded warriors are worth fortunes. Their consciousness can be extracted, studied. It's illegal, but that doesn't stop it from happening. Elias felt sick. They want to cut her out of me. Yes, and they'll destroy your mind in the process. Then we make sure they don't catch us. They descended the ladder quickly. The shaft opened into a service corridor beneath the colony's main level. The alarm was still wailing, muffled by layers of structure. Arishan checked her scanner. Cargo bay is northeast, 200 meters. We need to... Footsteps. From ahead. Multiple contacts moving quickly. They've surrounded us. The first team was bait. Fuck. Arishan looked around frantically. There's no other way out. Then we fight. Arishan pulled a compact plasma cutter from her medical bag. I'm a healer, not a warrior. You were Ashtal once. You know how to fight. The footsteps grew louder. Elias positioned himself in the center of the corridor. His body fell into a combat stance, knees bent, weight forward, hands raised. Let me show you something. Close your eyes. Oh, that seems counterproductive. Trust me. Against every instinct, Elias closed his eyes, and suddenly he could see, not with his physical eyes, with something else. He felt the vibrations in the air, the displacement of movement, the heat signatures of approaching bodies. His senses expanded outward, mapping the corridor in perfect detail. 8 contacts, heavily armed, moving in coordinated formation. Now open your eyes. He did. The world looked different, sharper. His peripheral vision expanded, his depth perception perfect, and overlaying it all, faint lines showing probable movement patterns, predicted trajectories, optimal strike points. What did you do? Shared my senses. We see as one now. The hunters rounded the corner. 8 armored figures, weapons raised. The lead figure, taller than the others, wearing distinctive red markings, spoke through his helmet. Elias Ward, surrender the Asherian symbiont, and you will be compensated. Resist, and we will extract it by force. You have 5 seconds. Elias didn't move. 4. Arishan's hand tightened on her plasma cutter. 3. Ready? Yes. 2. The warmth in his chest exploded outward. 1. Elias moved. His body flowed between attackers like wind through grass. Weapons discharged around him, every shot missing as he moved through spaces that shouldn't have been there. His hands struck with precision at joints, pressure points, vulnerable gaps in armor. 1 hunter down, 2, 3. The corridor became chaos. Arishan fought too, her plasma cutter leaving glowing scars across armor plating. Her medical knowledge turned to devastating effect. The red-marked hunter, the commander, proved more difficult. He moved with skill that matched Elias's borrowed combat experience. They fought in close quarters, too close for weapons, trading blows that would have shattered bones if either had landed cleanly. You're wasting potential, the hunter growled. The symbiont deserves a proper host. Elias caught his arm, twisted. She chose me. She chose a corpse. We're correcting her mistake. The hunter's other hand came up holding a neural disruptor. He pressed it against Elias's temple. Pain, white hot and absolute. Elias's vision shattered, his muscles seized. He felt Sarian's presence inside him falter. Elias! The hunter's voice came from far away. Administering sedative. A plasma bolt took him in the shoulder. Arishan stood at the end of the corridor. Get away from him! The hunter staggered. He turned toward Arishan, reaching for his weapon, and that's when Elias felt it. Sarian's consciousness gathered itself inside him, not in his chest, deeper, in his bones, in his marrow. Last resort, forgive me. His bones began to move, restructuring themselves, reshaping, hardening, sharpening. His ribcage expanded, his spine straightened, his skeletal structure transforming from human to something else, something designed for war. The pain was extraordinary. Elias screamed. The hunter commander stepped back. Impossible. Full structural transformation requires... Elias stood. His body looked the same on the outside, but everything beneath had changed. He could feel it. His bones denser, his frame more efficient, his capabilities enhanced beyond human limits. Sarian had turned him into an Ashtal warrior. Temporarily, he moved. The commander fired 3 times. Elias took the hits, tranquilizer darts that should have dropped him, and kept moving. His transformed physiology filtered the sedatives. His hand caught the commander's throat. "She didn't make a mistake," Elias said quietly. Saharian's harmonics layered beneath his voice. "She saved us both." He threw the commander into the wall with enough force to crack the concrete. The hunter slumped, unconscious. Silence fell. Elias stood in the corridor, breathing hard, surrounded by incapacitated hunters. His body was shaking, not from fear, but from the strain of transformation. He could feel his bones beginning to shift back. It hurt. Everything hurt. Arishan approached carefully. "Saharian? Was that?" "Full combat configuration," Elias gasped. "She turned my skeleton into a weapon." "Only for a few minutes. I'm sorry. The pain was worth it. We're alive." He collapsed to his knees, the transformation reversing, his bones grinding and settling back into human form. The agony was intense but brief, and when it passed, he felt Saharian's presence settle back into his chest, exhausted but satisfied. That was the last time. Too dangerous. "Noted." Arishan knelt beside him, scanning. "Your bone density is elevated. Marrow structure is adapted. She's changed you. Can she change me back? Would you want her to?" Elias looked down at his hands. They looked normal, but beneath the skin, he could feel the difference. "I don't know," he admitted. "I gave you what I had, made you stronger so you could survive what's coming." "What's coming?" Before Saharian could answer, Arishan's scanner beeped. More contacts, incoming. 12 signatures converging on this position. She looked at Elias with haunted eyes. The rest of the hunter team. Elias forced himself to stand. "The cargo bay. We need a vehicle." They ran. Through corridors, down service stairs, past sealed doorways. Arishan's scanner led the way. They reached the cargo bay, a massive space filled with transport vehicles. The bay doors at the far end were sealed, reinforced metal. "Which vehicle?" Elias asked. Arishan pointed to a transport with armored plating. "That one. Survey vehicle, equipped for hostile terrain." They sprinted toward it. The cargo bay's overhead lights flickered and died, replaced by dim emergency lighting. And then the bay doors exploded. A shaped charge tore through the metal, sending debris cascading across the floor. Smoke billowed inward, and through it came figures, armored, armed. 12 hunters. The full team. The hunters were fanning out, weapons trained on every shadow. The red-marked commander was with them, moving stiffly but functional. His voice echoed across the bay. "Elias Ward, this ends now. Surrender, or we burn this bay. 10 seconds. Elias's mind raced. They were outgunned, outnumbered, exhausted. The vehicle was 50 meters away across open ground. They'd never make it. Unless... "Ari," he said quietly, "can you drive that vehicle remotely?" She blinked. "What?" "Your scanner. Can it interface with the vehicle's systems? Start it remotely?" Understanding dawned. "Yes, but why?" "Start it. Full throttle. Aim it at the hunters." She worked frantically, her scanner projecting a holographic interface. The hunters were still advancing. 5 seconds, the commander called out. The survey vehicle's engine roared to life. The hunters spun toward the sound. The vehicle lurched forward, accelerating directly toward the hunter formation. They scattered, diving for cover. "Now!" Elias grabbed Arishan's hand, and they ran. Not toward the vehicle, toward the blown-out bay doors. Outside was darkness. Cold. The colony's exterior exposed to the planet's harsh atmosphere. They burst through the smoke into the night. The planet's surface was a wasteland of black rock and swirling dust. Twin moons hung low on the horizon. The air was thin but breathable. Elias pulled Arishan toward a cluster of maintenance buildings. Behind them, the hunters were regrouping, weapons fire lighting up the darkness. They made it to the buildings and ducked inside. Small space, equipment storage, a single window showing the chaos. Arishan was gasping. "That bought us maybe 5 minutes. Then we used those 5 minutes. There's another way." Saharian's voice was quiet but firm. "What way?" Elias asked aloud. "Let me fully emerge. Give me complete control for 1 hour. I can end this." "No. They will kill you. Kill us both. This is the only way." "It's not the only way. It's just the easiest way for you. Silence inside him. Then softer. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone who wants to take away my choices. Arishan was watching him. Elias, who are you talking to? She wants full control, wants to turn me into a passenger. Would that be so terrible? If it saves your life? Yes, because then I'm not me anymore. I'm just a host. That's not what I want, isn't it? No, I want what we had before. Partnership. Together, then stop trying to control me. I'm trying to protect you. By taking away my agency, that's not protection. That's possession. The truth of it hung between them, or within them. I'm sorry, I've been alone so long. I forgot what partnership means. Elias took a breath. Then let's remember together. Guide me, yes. Fight with me, absolutely. But don't fight for me. Don't make me disappear. I won't, I promise. The warmth in his chest pulsed. Not dominating, not controlling, but steady and supportive. Outside, the hunters were closing in. Searchlights swept across the maintenance buildings. Arishan checked her scanner. They're doing a thermal sweep. They'll find us in minutes. Then we need to leave now. Leave how? Elias pointed out the window at the horizon. In the distance, maybe 5 kilometers away, a dark shape rose against the starlit sky. There. What's that structure? Arishan followed his gaze. The old processing facility. Abandoned years ago. Structurally unstable. Can we reach it? On foot. Maybe, but why? Because they won't expect us to go there. Because it's dangerous enough that they might hesitate. And because he felt Sahrian's presence surge with recognition. Because Sahrian knows it, don't you? Yes, that's where my clan made their last stand. Where I died. Arishan's face went pale. The Bone Field. That's what we call it now. No one goes there. Perfect, then that's where we're going. They slipped out the back and into the darkness beyond the colony's perimeter. Elias moved with confidence, guided by Sahrian's memory of the train. Behind them, the hunters' searchlights swept across the buildings they'd just vacated. They ran. Toward the structure on the horizon, toward the place where Sahrian had died. The ground was rough, treacherous, littered with sharp rocks and deep fissures. But Sahrian guided him. Her memory of the landscape was perfect. She knew which paths were stable, where the old mining tunnels ran beneath the surface. Arishan followed. This is madness. Even if we reach the bone field, there's nothing there. Just ghosts, Elias finished. It's home. Sahrian's voice carried such longing that Elias felt his chest ache with it. Behind them, the hunters' vehicles emerged from the colony. Armored transports equipped with powerful searchlights. They were going to be caught. We need to hide, Arishan gasped. There. She pointed to an outcropping that formed a shallow cave. Get inside. They scrambled in, pressing against the cold stone. Arishan pulled a device from her bag and activated it. Elias felt a strange tingling as the device disrupted thermal imaging. The hunters' vehicles drew closer. Searchlights swept across the rocks. Elias held his breath, Sahrian's presence inside him perfectly still. The vehicles passed, kept going, toward the processing facility. Arishan sagged with relief. They'll search there first. That gives us maybe 30 minutes. Then we use it. Elias emerged. Different route. Circle around. There's a canyon, narrow. They can't bring vehicles through it. Elias relayed this. Arishan checked her scanner and nodded. I see it. 2 kilometers northeast. They moved quickly, following Sahrian's memory through the darkness. The twin moons provided enough light to navigate, and Elias's enhanced vision picked out details in the shadows. The canyon was exactly where Sahrian remembered. A deep crack in the planet's surface, narrow enough to jump across in places, deep enough to kill anyone who fell. They descended carefully. At the bottom, the air was colder, thinner. Elias's breath came out in visible plumes. How much farther? Arishan asked. 1 kilometer. Due north. They followed the canyon floor. Above them, the slice of visible sky showed stars, countless, brilliant, utterly indifferent. And then Elias felt it, a change in Sahrian's presence, grief. We're close. The canyon opened into a wider space, and there, rising from the center, was the processing facility. But facility was the wrong word. It was a ruin. Massive structures of corroded metal and shattered concrete half collapsed. Scaffolding hung at twisted angles. Broken machinery lay scattered. And everywhere, bodies, not fresh, just fragments. Bones picked clean by scavengers in time, scattered across the ground. Ashtal bones, marked with the distinctive density and structure of that species. Some still bore traces of clan markings. Narration stopped at the edge of the killing field, her hand rising to cover her mouth. "God's preserve," she whispered. "There are hundreds. 347. Saurian's voice was hollow. "My entire clan, everyone I knew, everyone I loved, cut down in a single day." Ilias felt tears on his cheeks that weren't his own. Saurian was weeping through him. He knelt, placing his palm flat against the cold ground. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Don't be sorry. Help me honor them." "How?" "Find my body, what's left of it. I need to see what I was." Narration approached cautiously, her scanner active. "Elias, what is she asking?" "She wants to find her original body, where she died." "That's morbid." "It's closure." Arishan hesitated, then nodded. She adjusted her scanner. "I can track bone density markers. If I search for the highest concentration of warrior caste markers." She worked the device, walking slowly through the field of bones. This way, they followed her deeper into the ruins, past twisted metal, past collapsed structures, past bones that bore the marks of violence, plasma burns, impact fractures, clean cuts from energy weapons. This hadn't been a battle. It had been an execution. Arishan stopped near the base of a collapsed tower. "Here, the signature is strongest here." Elias approached, and there, half buried under rubble, was a skeleton. Tall, marked with the distinctive scarring of a clan huntress. One arm reaching out, the fingers of that hand still curled around. Another skeleton, human, smaller, younger, lying where it had fallen, protected by the Ashtal body even in death. "Us!" Saurian's voice broke. Elias stared at the bones, at what they had been. Two people, two warriors, dying together in the ruins of a slaughtered clan. "I remember now, fully, everything." Images flooded Elias's mind, Saurian's memories pouring through him. The settlement as it had been, the Ashtal refugees building homes, trying to create peace. Himself, younger, idealistic, working security, learning the Ashtal language. And he saw her, Saurian, tall and fierce, her skin the color of winter sky, marked with the ritual scars of a huntress. They'd met during a dispute. He'd tried to mediate. She'd laughed at him, and somehow, impossibly, they'd become friends. Then more. The memory of her hand in his, cool and strong. The way she'd smiled. Rare, precious moments. The night she'd shown him the Ashtal stars, pointing out constellations of her lost homeworld. "I loved you even then. Knew I shouldn't, but I didn't care." The memories continued. The day the raiders came. The alarm at dawn. Saurian running toward the children's shelter. Elias following, grabbing weapons, taking up position beside her. 3 hours of fighting, wave after wave. Falling back, protecting the children behind them. Knowing they were going to die. The moment he'd been shot, his legs giving out, the taste of blood. Saurian dragging him into cover, pressing her hands against his wounds. "No, don't leave me. Don't you dare leave me." But he was already fading. And then she'd been shot too. Multiple times, her armor cracking, her body failing. They'd collapsed together, hands reaching for each other in the dust. "We return together," she'd said, her voice growing faint. "Promise me. I promise." And in those final moments, as darkness closed in, she'd performed the soul-bonding ritual, used the last fragments of her life force to preserve herself inside him, to restart his heart, to bind her consciousness to his body so completely that death couldn't separate them. She'd given up her chance at whatever came after death, stayed with him instead, for 12 years, dormant, waiting, protecting him without his knowledge, until the fall that should have killed him woke her again. The memories faded. Elias stood over the bones, tears streaming down his face. "You saved me twice. I'd save you 1,000 times because you stayed. When everyone else ran, you stayed. You would have done the same. I know, that's why I loved you. Arishan was watching them with tears of her own. Sahrian, can you hear me? Yes, sister. Arishan flinched at the familiar address. I'm sorry, I should have come here sooner. Should have honored the dead. You survived because you were meant to, because healers were precious, because someone needed to carry our memory forward. I failed. No, you helped Elias find me. You kept us alive tonight. You honored your calling. Arishan knelt beside the bones, placing her hand on the Ashtal skull. Rest now, sister. Your war is over. Not yet. Sahrian's voice hardened. The ones who did this are still hunting, still killing survivors. My war isn't over until they're stopped. Elias felt her presence surge inside him, not violently, but with absolute determination. Sahrian, I don't want revenge. I want justice. I want to make sure no other clan suffers what mine did. That's a nice distinction, but the hunters who are chasing us right now, they were part of the original extermination force. I recognize their formation patterns. They're the same ones who slaughtered 347 of my people. Elias's blood ran cold. You're sure? Absolutely certain. He looked at Arishan. Did you know? She nodded slowly. The mercenary company that conducted the purge. They've been hired to eliminate Ashtal survivors for over a decade. Then what do we do? Arishan stood, her expression hardening, the face of a warrior, not a healer. We end them. Here. Tonight. On the bones of the people they murdered. Yes. Sahrian's agreement resonated through Elias's entire body, but Elias himself hesitated. We can't fight 12 trained mercenaries. You have support. Arishan pulled out her scanner and began typing rapidly. I'm sending a distress signal to the Ashtal network. Every surviving clan member within range. If any of them are close, they'll come. How many? I don't know. Maybe none, maybe dozens. But we won't be alone. And we have the terrain, the ruins, my knowledge of every tunnel, every position. Elias looked around at the scattered bones, felt the weight of history pressing down on him. These people had died defending children, defending each other, defending the simple right to exist, and the ones who'd killed them were coming here now to finish the job. He made his decision. Tell me what to do. First, we honor the dead properly, then we give them justice. They worked quickly. Arishan used her supplies to create traps, devices that would activate when triggered, releasing blinding light or disorienting sound. She placed them at strategic positions. Elias, guided by Sahrian, positioned himself near the highest point, a partially collapsed tower that offered clear sightlines. He gathered stones, debris, anything that could be thrown. When they come, stay low. Let them spread out. Separate them from their support. And then we do what warriors do. We fight. The hunters arrived 30 minutes later. Elias saw their vehicle lights first, cutting through the darkness. 3 armored transports moving cautiously through the canyon. The vehicles stopped at the edge of the bone field. Doors opened. 12 figures emerged, weapons ready. The red-marked commander stood at the center, scanning the ruins. His voice echoed across the field. Elias Ward, we know you're here. There's nowhere left to run. Silence answered him. Surrender the symbiont. Last chance. We have no interest in killing you. We just want what's inside you. Elias remained motionless, watching them spread out below. The commander waited another moment, then gestured. His team began to advance. Wait. Let them commit. The hunters moved deeper into the ruins. And that's when Arishan's traps began triggering. First, a flash of blinding light that caught 2 hunters. They stumbled, their helmet optics overloaded. Then a sonic burst that disoriented 3 more, their weapons discharging wildly. The commander shouted orders, trying to restore order, but his team was scattered now. Now! Elias stood, made himself visible on top of the collapsed tower. Every hunter's weapon swung toward him. You want me? He called out, his voice carrying Sahrian's harmonics. Come and take me. They opened fire. Elias was already moving. He leaped from the tower, farther than any human should have been able to, landed on another structure, rolled, came up running. The hunters pursued, but this was Sahrian's territory. She knew every angle, every sight line, every weak point. Elias led them on a chase through the ruins, appearing and disappearing, never letting them get a clean shot. Every time they split up to flank him, another trap triggered. Every time they regrouped, he'd move to a new position. He was bleeding them, exhausting them, making them angry. One hunter broke from the group, pursuing Elias alone into a narrow corridor. Bad decision. Elias turned, and this time he didn't run. Together? Together. They fought as one. Elias's will, Saharian's skill, their bodies moving in perfect synchronization. The hunter was good, well-trained, but he was fighting two warriors in one body. He went down hard. Elias took his weapon, a compact energy rifle, and kept moving. Another hunter, another fight, another victory. The commander was shouting now. "Fall back! Regroup at the transports! This is a trap!" But it was too late. Narration emerged from the shadows, her plasma cutter glowing. She'd taken two more hunters while Elias had kept them distracted. And then, lights. Not from the hunters' vehicles, from beyond the canyon. Multiple vehicles, approaching fast. Narration's distress signal had been answered. The Ashtal survivors arrived like a wave of retribution. 7 vehicles, 23 warriors, remnants of scattered clans who'd been hiding across the colony world, waiting for a chance to strike back. They'd been waiting 12 years for this moment. The hunters realized they were surrounded. The Red Mark commander tried to retreat, but the Ashtal warriors cut off their escape. Energy weapons lit up the night. The sound of combat echoed off the canyon walls. It was brutal, quick. The hunters fought well, but they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The Ashtal warriors had the fury of genocide behind them. Within minutes, it was over. 8 hunters captured, 3 dead. 1 escaped into the canyon and was pursued. The Red Mark commander knelt in the dust, disarmed, his helmet removed to reveal a human face marked with tattoos. An Ashtal warrior, older, marked with scars from dozens of battles, approached him. "You recognize this place?" the warrior asked quietly. The commander said nothing. "You should. You helped create it. 12 years ago. You slaughtered everyone here. Left them to rot." Still no response. The warrior raised his weapon. "No." Elias stepped forward. The warrior looked at him, then at Saharian's presence, visible as a faint shimmer behind him. "This is not your justice to deny, human." "I'm not denying justice. I'm asking for it to be done properly. Trials, evidence, legal prosecution, not execution in a graveyard. They showed no mercy to my people. Then be better than them." The warrior's hand tightened on his weapon. For a moment, Elias thought he would fire anyway. Then Saharian spoke, her voice manifesting clearly enough for all to hear. "He's right. If we kill them in anger, we become what they are. We dishonor the dead." The warrior stared at the shimmer of Saharian's presence. "You're the huntress, the one who stayed." "Yes. Then you have the right to decide. What would you have us do? Take them to the central colonies, present evidence of their crimes. Let the law handle them. Show the galaxy that the Ashtal seek justice, not revenge." The warrior slowly lowered his weapon. "As you command, huntress." He gestured, and other warriors came forward to secure the prisoners. The Red Mark commander was hauled to his feet. The Ashtal warriors were gathering now, standing among the bones of their dead. The older warrior, their apparent leader, approached Elias. "You fought well, human. You honor the huntress who lives in you." "Thank you." The warrior smiled, fierce and approving. One by one, the Ashtal warriors acknowledged Saharian's presence, recognizing her, honoring her sacrifice. And Elias felt something shift inside him. Not domination, not control, integration. He was still himself, but he carried her memories, her skills, her purpose. They were separate but joined, individual but unified. 2 consciousnesses sharing one body, learning to move as one. Narration stepped beside him. "What will you do now?" Elias placed his hand over his heart, feeling the warmth there. "I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. Together." "Together," he agreed. The Ashtal warriors began preparing for departure. The captured hunters were loaded into transports. The dead, both mercenary and Ashtal, were treated with respect. Elias walked through the bone field one last time, Saharian's memories guiding him to specific remains. People she'd known, friends, family, warriors who'd fought beside her. At each set of bones he paused, spoke their names aloud. Names Sahrian remembered when no one else did. It took hours, but he owed them that much. When he finished, dawn was breaking over the horizon. This world's single sun rising red and angry, painting the ruins in blood-colored light. Arishan approached. "We're ready to move. The others are establishing a base camp 50 kilometers north." Elias nodded. As he turned to leave, he caught his reflection in a piece of shattered metal. He looked the same. Same face, same eyes, same body. But behind him, visible in certain angles of the light, was a shimmer, a suggestion of another form. Tall, scarred, proud, Sahrian. Not separate, not distinct, but present. Always present. "Ready?" she asked. "For what comes next?" "No, but I'll do it anyway." That's all courage ever is. They left the bone field together, Elias and Sahrian and Arishan and the gathered Ashtal warriors. Left the ghosts to their rest and the dead to their peace. But they carried the memory forward. Elias stood at the edge of the canyon one last time, looking back at the ruins painted in dawn light. "Who are we now?" he asked quietly. Arishan answered, "You're the proof that soul bonding isn't parasitism. It's partnership." Sahrian's answer came from within. "You're my partner, my friend, my hope." And Elias's own answer, speaking to both of them. "I'm someone who learned that being whole doesn't mean being alone. That strength comes from unity, that two souls can share one heart and both be free." He placed his hand over his chest, feeling the warmth there. Eternal, steady, unbreakable. Sahrian's form solidified fully for just a moment, visible to everyone, standing beside Elias rather than behind him. She placed her translucent hand over his heart, their fingers overlapping. "I'm us," he said simply. "We," she agreed.